So let's go to my guest, who's the Managing Director of the Bartons Automotive Group here in Queensland. His name is Mark Beitz. Mark, morning. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks, Steve. Good to be here.
So are you a rev head?
I don't know if I'm a rev head, but I like a car that gets up and goes. Yeah.
What is it about? So I've tried to think about why it is that cars are so significant in our lives. And I think, it's freedom, but then there's passion and style, almost art, that comes into it. What is that magic about a vehicle, Mark?
Yeah, I think a car is a lot of things to most of us. And, in an ordinary day, for some people, it's just a means from A to B. But for some other people, it's fun. And it's the second biggest purchase most people make in their life. Hence why I think a car, is so significant to us.
What was your first car?
My first car was a Toyota Corolla. Couldn't afford 4-mag wheels, so I got 2, and I thought I was cool.
Corollas are still a thing. I mean, they're still a very highly reputed vehicle, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. Toyota built a pretty good car. I mean, pretty much Toyota's product range is pretty vanilla, but people just know it to be reliable, right? Hence the topic at the moment around the Japanese car brands. Will they survive? And I think Toyota's a good example. They will.
All right, in this segment, we speak with different business people, big and small, about what's happening, what's the economy like, how are they being affected by all the rules and the regulations around it. So tell me the story of Bartons Automotive Group. When did you start?
Yeah, I've been with the business 25 years now. Business's headquarters is based in Wynnum, and that's where I grew up. But I didn't leave school looking to get into the motor industry, but in my late 20s I did and joined the company, and I bought into the business over the years and now own it, which is fun.
Now, Bartons started selling certain brands.
Yep.
And you've added brands, lost brands, and things are changing rapidly. So can you give me that little timeline or that chronology of automotive change, if you would, please, Mark?
Yeah, look, 2001 when I started, we were a Holden and a Mitsubishi dealer with, 40 staff. We're 25 years on now and there's no Holden, unfortunately.
Yep.
And now we represent 12 brands.
And Mitsubishi's not made in Australia anymore.
No, sadly, but, still a pretty important part of our business, despite what's happening with Chinese cars, yeah.
All right, so what brands are your particular company selling at the moment?
Mitsubishi, Hyundai, and one of our other big sellers is GWM, which is one of the Chinese brands.
So you're selling Japanese, Korean and Chinese vehicles, basically?
Yeah, predominantly. And we actually sell some French cars. We've got a small splattering of Renault in there, which we feel is a point of difference.
Okay, so there's big changes. I mean, there's really big shifts happening underway at the moment. Stellantis, who are the big global dealer for Alfa Romeo, Peugeot, I think, and a few others, have said, we're pulling out. Can you tell me what's happening with Stellantis? It's not just here, it's other places around the world as well.
Yeah, look, I think Stellantis are one of those companies that are really struggling to find a way to compete against the Chinese. The Chinese are growing at a speed we've never seen. And, people ask why wasn't that the case 5 or 10 years ago? I think a really simple answer to that is China had such a big domestic market and they were a booming economy. Now their market is full, right? They've built more cars than their market can consume. So the Chinese now, to build cars, they've got to export. So they're pumping them around the globe, and it's really hurting some of the legacy car makers.
Where will this end up, do you think? So you've been in here for a quarter of a century now, you've been in this game, and I read lots of opinions about what's happening with the global car scene. Where do you think this is heading, Mark?
Yeah, I still don't know. I feel there's some countries, and the States are a good example, they've put tariffs in place to protect local manufacturing.
Is that a good idea?
I feel it is. It's interesting. In most countries around the world where they build, except China, government supports manufacturing to protect their own economy. That's a debate we don't have time for today. But, look, yeah, I feel...
Well, China does the same thing, don't they? I mean, they underwrite their own industries to a large extent.
Yeah, and I think that's the point that most people miss when they have debates around protecting local manufacturing. The Chinese government underwrites probably half of their car companies, so they're doing it in just a different way.
Okay. Are they being dumped on the Australian market, which is against world trade rules, isn't it, where cars, the Chinese cars appear to be so cheap, there's a lot of people saying, hang on, something's up here. They can't be selling these cars at cost or above cost. It looks like they're dumping them, inverted commas. I don't mean that they're rubbish. I mean that they're deliberately selling them below their manufactured price.
Without a doubt, they are sending volumes here we've never seen. And, I think the government's had this policy around trying to get EV adoption in our country. And I think a lot of the things they've done has been really good. But they've actually probably unintended created this bloodbath of cars because they actually are giving new vehicle energy credits to China. And so it's actually like it's an import incentive where, say, in the States, it's a tariff, right? So they're getting a credit to send a car here, and the legacy brands, say, like Isuzu or Subaru, Toyota, they're getting a fine, right, for a diesel or a petrol car. So you've got this gap widening. It's making Chinese cars very attractive to buy.
I hadn't even thought of that. So that's interesting. So because the Australian government, courtesy of the taxpayer, offers credits for EV vehicles, we're basically giving tax credits to China whilst penalising our compatriots in Japan and Korea.
100%, right? And look, it's something that I'm really doing a lot at the moment. As a business, we're changing. The industry's actually become unprofitable in Australia. And I wouldn't say across the board, but many of the legacy companies, dealers and manufacturers, brands are in minus profit territory in this term as we find a way to realign and right size.
So you're running at a loss at the moment?
For 2026, yeah. We've had some very good years. So we can absorb some of that, but it is a right sizing of the motor industry right now to see where it lands.
So right now you're living off your company's savings, essentially?
Yeah, and I've got a very, very strong RV business called Jayco Brisbane Camperland. So,
right, okay.
Yeah, the diversity is
you're diversified to ride it out, so basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
How long do you think you'll have to ride it out for? How long do you think this situation is going to be in place? Can you tell?
Look, I think that the next 12 months to 2 years will get itself right. Much like myself, many other my dealer colleagues around the country, we are just getting our facilities right, the footprint right for the brands. And look, for example, the Japanese brands from 10 years ago, I had 2 big showrooms, say, in Capalaba for a brand like Subaru, one Capalaba, one Wynnum. Today, I'll have 1 showroom but 2 service centres. So it's a right size.
So where do you make most of your money from now? Servicing or sales of new vehicles or second-hand vehicles?
It's pretty much it's an across-the-board business model.
Okay.
So when I joined the industry 25 years ago, you made money out of cars and a little bit out of service and everywhere else. Now, it's a bit out of cars, bit out of service, and, right across parts. It's a very balanced model today.
What should the Australian government do? Should they cut back on their incentives, their tax incentive to buy electric vehicles and stop subsidising the Chinese, or something else, Mark?
Look, I don't disagree with Bowen's policy to drive EV adoption. There's a lot of good reasons. And, look, the experience of driving an EV is phenomenal. What an amazing car they are to drive. So
you're driving one at the moment, aren't you?
Yeah, and one of the best cars I've driven.
You want to tell me about it?
Yeah, I'm driving an IM6. IM is the premium model for MG. And, since I stopped driving my V8 Commodore, back in the late 2020, I struggled to find a car to drive, and look, this is it. It's truly a performance sports car. IM6 is probably as good as I've driven.
I still have difficulty getting my head around the MG thing. Morris Garage, British icon, now being sold as an EV by the Chinese at a subsidised price. It's hard to get you. I mean, because the British way back, like that killed them.
Yep.
That killed the British car industry.
Yes.
That and industrial relations problems.
Yeah, I mean, we've got what we've got, right? I mean, I think we have to embrace the fact that what's in our homes today, whether it's cars, TVs or phones, they're made in China. The quality and the product's pretty good. So they're here to stay. I'd just like to see the government maybe, look at a bit of balance in their policy that supports those that have been here for a long time.
For instance, give me an example. What you're referring to?
Yeah, I've got 3 Japanese brands, and Subaru, Mitsubishi, Nissan. They have provided a lot of jobs in this country. I feel they employ a lot of people. They are sacrificial lambs at the moment as the Chinese just run them out. So I think there's a place in the market for all of them. but maybe the penalties on some of these legacy companies are too harsh too soon.
So these penalties, so the Australian taxpayer is subsidising Chinese overproduction here.
Well, I mean, let's be honest, the Australian market is selling EVs and plug-in hybrids. That's 25% of the market, right? 75% of our market is still petrol and diesel. I mean, let's say the shift continues, and we're still going to have a market that resembles 60% petrol and diesel. Ultimately, if these fines continue at the rate, the consumer will pay a high price for 50% of the cars in the market. So, yeah, we're still going to be a diesel and a petrol market for sure.
My guest is Mark Beitz. Mark is Managing Director of the Bartons Automotive Group. He's my guest for Business Bites this morning. This is 6:12 ABC Brisbane. It's 7 minutes to 10, news at 10. If with my computer, I often get frustrated. Every week I come in, my computer has to upgrade something, has a new bit of technology that has to be rebooted, what have you, because it's digital electronic technology. The cars that are being sold, EVs, are digital electronic technology.
Yeah.
How long is it going to be before they're going to have to constantly be upgraded? Because it's already happening now. In other words, I'm thinking about vehicle reliability and serviceability over a period of time, Mark.
Yeah, look, it is happening. I think it's a good thing. Once upon a time, we needed to take our cars, and we still do, into service for an update. And we've been updating software in our workshops for 20 years. But reality is now that, the cars and a new brand I've recently taking on, Xpeng, it's doing updates over the wire. So what that means is it'll notify you when you're driving and when you go home, plug into Wi-Fi, which we do with our phones. That car will upgrade overnight. That's going to just give you better technology in your car. It won't change the way it drives, but it'll just give you like your Apple phone. It'll speed up the functionality and make it more user-friendly.
Is it the case that you'll be able to deal with warranty claims over a period of time? So the argument I've been reading by some of the supposedly informed motoring press is that the jury is still out on after, say, a 7-year or 5-year period of time, maybe a car is sold as a second-hand vehicle, and what warranty is in place and is able to be delivered by people like you who are at the mercy of people in China who don't have the same Western cultural values about importance of meeting contract agreements and the like.
Look, I think it's a really good question and one that people deservedly ask. I think the same could be said for the Japanese and the Koreans in their time, and they've delivered. I feel
the Japanese and the Koreans have met their warranty agreements, haven't they?
Absolutely, they have. And, I've had GWM now for 7 years.
Okay.
They are a phenomenal brand, and they behave, I feel, with reputation that is the equal of our other brands that we've had. So, look, I feel if the brands that we've got, some of the big, long-established brands, and MG's one, GWM's another, I feel they're here to stay. The fear about they all won't survive, I think, is real because it's too easy for the Chinese to send cars here. But there's some really strong, established brands already in market. They'll deliver. I'm confident of that.
So where is the trend going, can you say?
Yeah, look, I think over the next year or two, we'll see this trend continuing where probably more than half of what is driven in Australia will have been built in China. We won't stop that. I'd just like to see some of those legacy brands, Koreans, the Japanese, so, Hyundai, Kia, Subaru, Toyota, Mitsubishi, Nissan. I'd like to see them survive, and I think the government needs to do more to ensure that because competition's healthy. We don't want to see some of these legacy companies be squeezed out and not be given choice. And that's a real fear. So, let's protect what we've got as well somehow.
Mark, thanks for coming in.
Pleasure.
Mark Beitz, Managing Director of Bartons Automotive Group.